Gaming and BS, episode 263, coming to you Sunday, October 6th, 2019. Welcome to Gaming and BS, tabletop RPG podcast. I'm Sean.
I'm Brett. Welcome to the show, folks. Glad those of you who were here before are back again. And if you're new, hey man, welcome aboard. Nice to have you here.
Yeah.
Sean, how was your weekend?
It was good. I got the Tomb of Horrors mapped out.
Did you?
I did.
Did you get to play any games or were you just prepping for a game?
Just prepping for my Gamehole Con game. It's I think I used gaming paper, not isometric, and it is many rolls.
I could see that.
Well, not many rolls. I mean, I think I used. Well, actually, yeah, I did. I think I used 4 rolls of gaming paper.
Wow. What rolls of gaming paper go for, Sean?
I don't remember.
I just happen to have them in my...
I had extra. I had 8.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, I thought that stuff but I'll tell you, it's nice.
It lays flat.
It lays flat, and it's good. It's good stuff. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, it takes marker pretty well. Mm-hmm. So I've used it before a ton, and then I'm like busted out. I had 4 lying around, but I cut it up so that way I could fit stuff down. And I think it makes enough sense where the party won't, because you get into like.
Did you try to stitch it all?
Is there a secret door there? There's like a passage after that.
Did you try to stitch it all together so that it's like one massive placemat you can flop down over the top of the table and drag on the floor?
No.
Good, smart man.
Yeah, no. 1, it wouldn't fit on a roll.
No, it would not.
And 2, I didn't want the party to come to a dead end and go, oh, there's something on the other side of the wall.
I didn't want to see it. Yeah,
I didn't want to section it off or drape something over it.
Yeah.
So that's done. Now I got to do pre-gens. I got to reread the Gatsby and the Great Race, and then I got to think of the LARP.
There you go.
The LARP, I'll be as the dude.
Yeah?
I'm waiting on one piece of clothing.
Okay. Very cool.
And then my outfit will be complete.
Very nice.
Yeah.
My AJ ran some more of his Crypts and Creatures campaign, which was cool. He's got, we went through some pretty heavy combat stuff the previous sessions, but these last 2 that he had were very role-playing, political, making deals with dragons, and trying to reorganize a war. So it's pretty fun. He's doing a damn good job, I think. And let's see. Oh, I killed the deer, so that was just totally not game related. I arrowed one on Friday, so that was good. That made me happy. It's self-imparted pressure to have one down in archery season. So what that does is it frees me up. Like, oh, okay. I should make sure all my pre-gens are done for Gamehole Con. I'm pretty close. Oh, I should make sure I've got this, or this. It's just one less thing of pressure, so that's kind of cool. So I like that. And now I've killed, and I feel better.
Yeah, that's great, man.
And I'm adopting my kids tomorrow, so that's kind of cool.
That's huge, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, back on Father's Day, Rhiannon said, hey, we should do the adult adoption thing. You should be my real dad. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then her younger brother, Connor, my stepson, said, well, yeah, duh, I'm in. So the running joke between my kids and I and their friends are like, you need to be adopted. I'm collecting the set. Come on, bring me. You got somebody you like your dad. Come on over. Take you on. Come on. It'll be good. So anyway, after this, I've collected the set. So it'll be good.
That's huge, man. That's good stuff. Yeah.
And I'm an IT guy, so I'll be fault tolerant and, backup redundancy. It's all there. I got 2 boys, 2 girls. It's all good. I technically have 3 girls, but, anyway. All good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, man, I think, let's see, announcement-wise, we've got Gamehole coming up. We've been talking about that. We have EverCon, evercon.org. We're hitting that point now where we need more and more people to start getting their events in. We usually get a lot of people for EverCon saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to run something. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that." And then they start waiting, like we all tend to do. So, as a con organizer, I can tell you all, it really, really helps. The sooner you can get your event in, the better, because it helps bulk up the website. And what that does is when people look at it and say, "Oh wow, there's shit happening. That's cool." The other thing it does when people start poking around, they say, "Hey, I wonder if somebody's doing X." They go, "Oh, I've always wanted. You know what? I'm going to run something." And we've had a number of people tell us that, "Oh, I saw something on there that reminded me, so I put a game out there myself I want to run." So you can inspire people simply by putting your games out there that you're going to run. So I strongly encourage you, if you can make it to EverCon, check out evercon.org and get an event out there, man. That'd be great.
Yeah. I will do that.
That'd be cool. That'd be awesome,
but
man.
I have to figure out, I have to get into the con frame of mind. Because every time I prep for a con and I submit events to a convention, I realize I don't want to do this again.
Oh, so like if you're done with Tomb of Horrors, like I don't want to do that again.
I don't want to. Not a Tomb of Horrors specifically, but I don't want to map it out.
Yeah.
So I get into the prepping, and I'm like, I don't want to prep all this stuff. Like I want to keep it minimal.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So when you come to EverCon, be prepared for Theater of the Mind then.
Right.
Pre-gens, and there you be.
Yes. Or they're generating at the table.
I think you can do that with certain game systems, but if not, I mean, just grab some honestly, you can take pre-gens straight off of, like if you're running 5e, straight off the WotC site. Right. You got a shit ton of pre-gens.
Right.
I've effectively used those at cons many times.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem doing so I have to do pre-gens and I have to do the map for Tomb of Horrors.
Yep.
I'll probably want to get some tents, so I'll probably bring some, paper, construction paper, whatever, tag board.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we've talked about and that we know we like to see at a game table at a con, right? Oh, I should have. And truth be told, you don't have to have name tents for everybody. You don't have to have this, that, or the other thing. You don't have to have it. But some of those little tchotchke bits are kind of nice when you have them.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know. Like, I think about Star Wars and I go, oh, I could bring all these miniatures and, I could run it like this and have all this cool stuff. And then it's like, but prepping, it's just like, man,
you've
I just
got to
go and throw my shit down and play.
You got to love that stuff. If you're going to pull a Carl Kiesler, man, you got to be Carl Kiesler. You got to love doing that prep.
And I would do that if I had the talent.
Well, I think...
Because he could probably whip that shit out pretty quick.
Well, maybe you've hit a thing there. Like, Sean, what is something that you can whip out pretty easily at the game table, right? That was horrible and potentially rude question. But anyway, what I'm saying is that if you slap down some Star Wars character sheets and say, okay, here's what you are. Let's go. You're on the aluminum Falcon, and you're going to go do a job. Here's the deal. Let's go.
That's why I use the beginner set for Age of Rebellion from one of Gamehole Con's games a couple years ago.
I'm telling you, you could easily do that same thing at EverCon and would work. If that's a type of game you like to run, there's no reason I guess in short, don't try to be Carl Kiesler. If you can't do it, or you don't hey, look, I don't feel like I could pull it off, or it takes me too much time, I prefer to do this other thing. We've said this before. Even when Corey was, Kojo was saying, hey, my kid's going to run a game. I don't expect Kojo's kid to show up with, a truckload of, Masters of the Universe miniatures and play sets that he has transmogrified into some Dead Game Society wonderment. It doesn't have to be that. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't, Sean.
Oh.
Anyway, think about it. You'll run something cool. I know you will.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I always think of that's why I was running Forget About It all the time, because I would just pull out what I already have done and hit the print button.
Yeah.
And that would make things a lot easier.
That's another game. You have not run that in a while. If you pulled that out, ran it at EverCon, it'd be something you haven't run for 2 years now, at least.
Yeah, that's true.
And you always have a good time with it, and you're damn good at it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, damn right it is. All right, man. Any other announcement type stuff?
I don't think so.
All right, let's go on a random encounter.
Random encounter! Random encounter.
You can start, Sean.
All right. Jared Rascher comments on why so serious on the forums. Some very interesting topics coming up in this episode. I think one important thing to note about authors like Lovecraft and Howard is that they have already been foundational to the field they worked in. For better or worse, horror would look much different without Lovecraft's influence, and fantasy would look much different without Howard. Yeah. Since they have already... I actually commented on this to Jared, and my comment had to do with this, I think. Did I comment it? I think
Doesn't matter. Read.
Well, I said it was after they died.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Was kind of the...
That's true. At the time,
So,
Lovecraft died in poverty and damn near unknown. He was revived after the fact.
Right.
Anyway, carry on.
Since they have already been so instrumental in establishing the structure, at least in my opinion, it's less important to try and rebuild a new, parallel structure and hope nothing of theirs creeps in, which is going to be a very difficult task, than it is to point out what's problematic and destructive about their work and try to divest the modern genre of the worst aspects of those works.
That's fair.
When it comes to modern works, it's a bit easier to at least say, from this point forward, now that I know, I'm not supporting this person any longer. But it's difficult to separate out what they have worked on in the past, especially if that was as part of a team. The bigger something is, the more difficult it is to separate individual elements. I love D&D 5e, but there were several problematic people involved in previous editions and in the current edition. And there is one big unresolved issue that I wish would be addressed in order to make me more comfortable about continuing to support the line. But despite that, I also know there are people that work for WotC that I like and respect, and it makes it harder to just cut everything off for me. I do think that politics, quote unquote, at the game table is a nuanced thing. I would say it is a true statement to say that all games are political in that we bring all of our biases and our interactions with the real world into the games we run and the characters we play. I do think there is a difference between directly referring to real-world politics, religion, and current events and showing what political agendas motivate you in what you add to your games. As an example, my Tales from the Old Margrave game is a game about dark horror fairy tales with the underlying theme of fae versus cosmic horror, and I wouldn't bring literally references to modern politics into the game. See, now somebody would argue you do.
Hard to say. I'm not at his game. I don't know.
But I'm saying that if there are people that will argue if you're playing a role-playing game, there's politics.
Yeah. I can also argue that the world is flat, too.
No.
Oh, yes, I can. It's a stupid-ass argument, but I can do it.
I just like the picture with the flat Earth and all the other planets around.
Yes, I love that. Everything else is a sphere except for this one. Anyway, carry on.
All right. However, I did have a villager in the Margrave that was a logger. Make that the state... Let me try that again. However, I did have a villager in the Margrave that was a logger make the statement to the PCs that if his village cleared out an area, anything in that area that they wanted to trade with them or become part of the village was fine. But if they got in their way of harvesting materials, it was perfectly all right to wipe them out. The PCs immediately saw this NPC as someone that needed to be set straight. Obviously, my biases about environmental resources and colonialism inform how I portrayed this NPC, but it was also almost comically over the top as well. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But what the fuck am I supposed to do, right? I'm supposed to run a game and ignore all my own personal biases, thoughts, and ideas?
Yes.
Good luck. Good luck.
To bring in the consent in gaming topic, this is why Session 0, lines and veils, and ongoing safety tools can be very important, as well as checking in with players. Sometimes people aren't going to be able to game with one another, and sometimes they aren't going to be able to game together in certain genre, but will do fine in others. And on that note, thanks for the plug.
Jared does great reviews, so we always call him out.
Yeah.
Good points, though, man.
So that topic can bring up lots of different angles, perspectives, agreement, disagreement.
Correct.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest pieces that separates the assholes from the decent folks is listening and saying, huh, okay. Wow, I see that you don't like this thing. All right. I won't make you do that thing. You know? It's Jared is not, he's not doing the dickhead thing where everybody else is wrong. My position is the only right one. You know? And again, well thought out, good perspectives. I like it. And it is tough to tell in a large group project. You do something for a company, you work at a company. Sean and I have worked together at an insurance company previously. And turns out that one person that we both knew happens to be a total dick. Interesting. Imagine that. There's a total dick at this really large company that's producing a pretty cool product. But this person's a total dick. It's wonky, man. And there's just, everyone has levels and things that they can tolerate and can't tolerate. I don't know. That's goofy.
Yeah.
Shall we carry on?
Yes.
This next one might be one of my favorites from Steve Orlik. He had an epiphany on character sheets. And he says, my fingers, they're fighting me as I try to type this. I agree with Sean. The fuck is happening? The world is falling apart. Is it opposite day? The rapture? Somebody help me. Sean said, whether it was nostalgia or good design, those yellow AD&D character sheets were the bomb diggity. Okay, my finger's locking up. I can no longer type. Steve Orlik.
See, Steve, it's just a matter of time, buddy. You just got to give in. It doesn't happen every week.
No.
It may not happen every month.
Or every year.
But that's why we have 260 some shows at this point. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Sean, we got to give Sean a shot. 260 sometimes. He's due one or two.
I'm due once. Maybe.
You've got a couple here and there. It's all good.
Thanks for writing in, Steve.
Absolutely, man. What else have we got?
All right, voicemail from Goblins Henchmen, who we have not heard from in a little while.
Oh, wonderful.
Hi, Brett. Hi, Sean. It's Goblins Henchmen. Long time no voice message, I guess. Since the close of G+, I've been a bit of a social media nomad. So moving around the place, trying to figure out where to pitch my tent, as it were. I suppose on the plus side, it's given me the opportunity to develop some of my ideas from mere ideas into sort of finished stuff. So I suppose from that point of view, it's been a good, but still struggling to regain the G+ magic. Anyway, back to the point of my call. Just ringing about the episode Why So Serious, which I thought was a very interesting episode. I thought Sean did a good job in challenging you, Brett, pushing you to see where, the complexity and the issues there, and I thought Brett also did a good job in pushing back, so well done, gentlemen. The way I see it personally is that I think Brett is on the right track. I think you have to hold everything up to your own personal moral compass and decide if you can support a person, yes or no, based on what you know about them. So, for example, Lovecraft, can you support him when he was alive, or that kind of person? Yes or no? Maybe it makes a difference if they're dead. Maybe it's just too big a deal that you can never support them dead or alive. And are your views so strong that a friend of yours who supports that author, for example, you can't be friends with them anymore because you believe so strongly? I think that's all a personal decision. I think part of the problem comes in the fact that everyone's politics is different, and by that I don't just mean are we left-leaning or right-leaning. I think for some people politics means, when someone says keep politics out of my game, they mean, which party did you vote for, the left or the right? Other people, politics is far more reaching that. I mean, going to the supermarket is a political decision for them. Do they buy products with palm oil because that's damaging the environment? Do they buy products from Israel because they believe that they're suppressing Palestinians? Do you not buy French wine because they didn't support your country in the Iraq War? So, McDonald's, people have a big deal about McDonald's, and, supposedly, I'm not saying yes or no, I'm just saying it, because of their damaging the environment and all those sort of things. Kickstarter at the moment, should it be unionised or not? Is that a big deal? Is Amazon the great oppressor, or are they just doing the job in the most economical way possible? So when you say to someone, keep politics out of my game, well, for some people, I don't think that's even possible, because for them, it's their life, it's everything. It's not just left, right, voting. It's their everything. So it's like saying, please don't bring your breathing into my game. And I think the other issue here is that in social media, you don't really know who your audience is. Not really. You assume they're people like you. But if you got up in the H.P. Lovecraft fan club and said, I like H.P. Lovecraft, you probably wouldn't cause a ripple. But if you stood up in the sort of race equality kind of organisation and said, I like H.P. Lovecraft, you might get a completely different reception. And I think in social media, that's the problem. People don't genuinely, we think we tend to meet each other because we're interested in gaming, but actually, other than that, we don't really know, a lot about the other people. And therefore, sometimes you need to tread carefully. And, in fact, on G+, I got my fingers slightly burnt on this front because I interacted with people sometimes assuming they were like me. And when they raised an issue, I thought they wanted a genuine discussion. But they didn't want a genuine discussion. What they wanted is, for me to, or, their people like them to, affirm their position, backslap them, say, yes, you're 100% right. So, again, when people are putting these politics into gaming, are they interested in discussion, or are they interested in just reinforcement? So I think this is where it all goes a bit haywire. People don't know who their audience are, and they don't know what their reaction is going to be. And then when they engage with the person, they don't understand whether they're actually interested in discussion or just interested, in affirmation. And therefore, it turns into a pretty rapid sort of confrontation, I suppose. And the other thing is people are not sensible on forums. I mean, I've tried to embrace this idea that if I'm not happy saying it in a supermarket, whatever I'm saying, or rather, if I'm not happy shouting it across the supermarket, then maybe I shouldn't be, projecting it in a forum. And that's kind of my acid test on whether I should be saying something or not. Now, if I want to say something that people don't like, even though I'm comfortable saying it, well, that's, to me, becomes their problem, because if they can bring it to me and want to discuss it, fine, I'm open to discussion. But if it's something I'm not comfortable saying in a supermarket, then I'm not going to say it in a wider audience. Okay, cheers, fellas. It's been a long time since I've called in, but still enjoying the shows. Bye.
Goblins, man.
That was good, man.
Yeah,
that was good. I mean, we start with Jared Rascher with some good points, and then Goblin comes in and wham, he takes it further and really just springboard. That's good stuff. Both of those were good.
He really touched on quite a bit in 5 minutes that has been really tapping at the back of my brain for quite some time. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, especially the social media piece. Like you think everybody's kind of they must be following me. We're probably on the same page. And then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. We all like D&D, and that's where that stops.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, we're not all the same.
No. So thank you so much. He really articulated that, I think, pretty well.
Yep, well thought out, well described.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. Next one, Chris Schorb
All right.
chimes in. I forgot which one he's talking about. I think the same thing, maybe? I don't remember.
Hey, Brett and Sean, it's Chris Schorb calling in, listening to the Delta Green episode, but my question is more general. I just recently read Matt Colville's Strongholds and Followers, and last night I informed my players that this was going to be a legal thing in the game, and the thing that I really like about it is it gives you a reason, you being the players, a reason to have actual money in the game of D&D 5e. The other thing I'm doing, I don't think any of them listen to this podcast, but if they do, I don't think this is too spoilery, is for their campaign, I'm thinking of them having a final 17th through 20th level, big, huge battle with armies on their side, and then, of course, the bad guys have armies. And so the way to get to that point is for them to have strongholds and to build those domains, I don't know how you pronounce that word, D-E-M-E-S-N-E, but to build those up and then bring those into battle against the big bad guys at the end. Anyways, I was wondering if you guys had done an episode on strongholds and followers, in particular strongholds, and if so, maybe you can point me to it, and if not, would love to have you guys add that to the old hopper. Thanks a bunch. Have a great week. Bye.
Yeah, man, I'm going to have to add that one to the hopper. We've talked about it a bit. When Strongholds and Followers came out, I was a backer of that. Love it. And, excuse me, I do want to do it. It's one of those pieces where I think, Sean, you and I have talked about this before, insofar as like, man, that would be cool, because it was never really a big thing. I remember even in my Redbox days, when you got up to a certain point, or even BX and whatnot, you'd have rules and things around strongholds and bigger components. It was never anything we really got into. So I think I'm a hell of a lot more interested in it now. And I really like 5e, and I think it'd be a good place to go.
Yeah, that I wanted to pick up that book. I may pick it up in PDF and see, but yeah, it is interesting. I mean, the only thing that I have had experience with in that realm, I think, was Doc touched on it a little bit in his campaign, which was more, we were the movers and shakers of kind of the Duke's area. Mm-hmm. We were kind of his trusted liaisons, and that was kind of cool. And then before that was when I was a kid, when we cleared out Ravenloft, the DM rolled some dice to find out who would inherit Castle Ravenloft and oversee Barovia. I was that guy, my paladin.
Nice.
Yeah. But other than that, it hasn't really... it hasn't been a thing, but there is a certain appeal to me about that. Yeah.
It's different. And I think there's plenty of people that have done it and do it. I just don't hear a lot about it on social media when I'm watching stuff. Or I'm listening to people with their gaming and so on. We're very interested in, excuse me, damn it. We're very interested in the character and how they develop it. Oh, I'm a 20th level this, or oh, I got up to 15th level, blah, blah, blah. And maybe I'm just missing it, but I do not often see where people are saying, oh yeah, and as part of that rise to glory and fame, I bought a town, or or something along those lines. I think it could be interesting. I think it would be interesting.
Kingmaker, I've had that. I've recently turned it into Noble Knight because Pathfinder's licensing somebody to turn it into 5e, and I think when that becomes a product,
that could be cool.
I would probably pick that up for 5e because I did like it. I enjoyed it. I know there was a lot of bookkeeping behind it, but I think the overall how to go through a land, set up an establishment, and then eventually it grows into something bigger would be an interesting campaign.
So I think in the short version, Mr. Schorb, it's going to go in the hopper, but number 2, we're going to have to do a little bit of research on our side because we do not know enough about it right now to speak too intelligently, or any more or less intelligent than usual.
Thanks for calling in, Chris. It's a good one. Thanks.
Yes.
Right, let's get into the main topic. All right.
You ready?
I think so.
All right. So on Matt Colville, speaking of, tagging off of Chris Schorb here, his running the game video number 56, if you go about 17 and a half minutes into the episode, he starts talking about suboptimal play. And this is something that Chris and I, thinking about Chris Schorb there. Sean, yeah, that's him. Yeah, Sean, the other guy. Sean and I have talked about this type of thing before.
I'm so going to mute you.
That's okay. So, Sean, one of the things we do talk about often is tactical play. Different ways it works and so on. You know, we talked about mapping and so on. But I don't think we've really talked about suboptimal play, except in, those cases where somebody's kind of doing it kind of douchey, right? Well, my character would do this, so therefore I'm going to light the house on fire. You know, where they kind of do kind of dumb thing sometimes. Did you have a chance to listen to the Colville talk there a little bit?
I did, and the reason it threw me off is because it was about it got into metagaming.
Yeah, he starts off with metagaming, and I'm like, okay, cool, kind of blah blah blah, and then he got into the suboptimal play. I'm like, this part of it was much more interesting to me.
Yeah.
So when you think about suboptimal play, Sean, what makes you? What does that conjure in your head? What do you think of when you hear that?
Well, it is similar to what Mr. Colville had conveyed in that video, which is not optimizing and playing to my character's over buffs. Or not, that's not even right. Optimizing my player character and then basically
making the best
exposing those. Yeah. Exposing them, right?
Yeah, because you think about it, like totally optimal play would be tactically optimal is usually what it comes down to, where you say, hey, and some groups suffer from this where they have one or two people that try to control the whole table. We've talked about this before. Where what you want to do is always make the most optimal move. Well, I will forego attacking these goblins because if I get in this position, I can grant flank. Or I'm going to forego doing this thing because I could do this, which is a more optimal bonus-ridden thing that I can give to more people, so on and so forth. And many game systems, I mean D&D in particular, have a lot of those bonuses and buffs are built to help optimize your play, to make you a more optimal character, make you do cooler things or whatever it is at the right optimal time to do the really kick-ass, totally cool tactical thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're agreeing with me? All right.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's really about... Because it gets into metagaming.
It does. And this is like a weird-ass version of metagaming in a way, where you're not using all that metagaming knowledge, whatever, to do the special thing. Like, oh, I know what this is, or I know how to optimize this situation or make the best tactical move, blah, blah, blah. When instead you say, you know what? My character is here to kill this bad guy. That priest has to die. That priest is the one that killed my child. They're dead. Yeah, but we're fighting the hobgoblins. I really don't care. I see the priest I charge. I'll help you all later, but he's dead. And then you stream across the field, knocking goblins aside and close with the priest. Or you have a character whose goal is to, look, I want to collect enough money so that I can buy that tavern and retire. I want to be a tavern owner. And they get to a point where they have accumulated enough stuff. They're like, look, I think this character's going to retire. They're only 3rd level. Yeah, but his whole goal in life was to collect enough money to buy a tavern and retire. And he has more than enough gold now. There's no reason he or she can't just retire. That's less than optimal in the strictest sense of the game. You following me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I would throw this I would posit to you, Mr. Sean Kelly, that you actually engaged in suboptimal play most times I've played with you.
What? I have?
Yes.
I am such a bad player. Damn myself.
No, and I think it's cool because you've always done it saying, when we played Trail of Cthulhu, you're like, okay, this is, well, you know what? I take the dynamite and charge the monster. Monster's got to go.
Hey, man.
It wasn't tactically a good move.
It's the world or the monster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Star Trek, man. Search for Spock.
Yes.
Needs of one.
Needs the many outweigh the needs of the few.
That's right. Or the one.
True.
That's what
You
Tom
also,
says.
even when I did ran the Avalon game for you and Joswick and Wayne and whatnot up in the game hole last time, your character was not, you're not driven as a player, from what I've seen, to always win every fight. I think partly because you can't roll a d20 to save your soul. That might be part of the problem.
That is true.
But that also reminded me, believe it or not, that everybody I know who has bad dice tend to be really good character players. And they choose the suboptimal tactical stuff sometimes because it's really cool. It's like the thing their character would do. It's not a stupid thing. It's not always self-sacrifice. It's not always, standing with your finger up your nose because you don't want to get in the fight or running away or whatever. But that kind of, like my example of you come in there and you see the evil necromancer who killed your husband. Like, he's dead. He's son of a bitch. He's going down. And you wade through the skeletons, and people are like, hey, you should help us with the whites and the gas and the zombies. Nope. Necromancer right here. I got him. And that's when I see you play. I always note that, Sean's going to do I don't necessarily know what Sean's going to do. Oh, look at that. That's
How crazy like that, Brett.
Yeah, but it's cool because it's suboptimal play, really, because you're not looking for the best advantage all the time. Now, you don't do this all the time. You'll go in for a flank. You'll go in to try to make sure that you give somebody a bonus, whatever. But I note a lot of people that do what I consider good suboptimal play. And again, I'm saying that by saying you're doing something that's not the most tactically advantageous at the time. Tend to do stuff to bolster up other people.
Yeah, that's the way I roll.
I think it's cool. And I don't know if that is... Are you intentionally doing that, Sean, or does that just come naturally to you because you can't roll 20s?
Well, when you can't participate in one way, you must participate in others.
I see. Okay. Have you had other people at your game table do that, where you see that type of... that leaning towards, hey, look, I could be the one that, turns undead, but, I charge the vampire. You could turn undead, make half the skeletons go away. No, fighters take care of that. I'm going after the vampire. Or, hey, why are you doing X? Why aren't you doing this other thing? Well, that don't necessarily make the best tactical judgments for my character. Do you see other people at your tables do that stuff?
I see that, but I don't know. I think it's just a judgment call. I don't think they're making a conscious... I don't know if they sit down and weigh their options to the point of going,
shall I play suboptimally at this point?
Yes, that's right. They don't. They're like, well, that would be suboptimal if I did it that way. Where if I did it this way, well, then I would get much more bang for my buck. So it's more of a in-the-moment scenario situation where I think that if there is a typical big bad and they want to go after the big bad, they could probably annihilate a lot of the little minions, but, in the heat of the moment, they decide to go a different route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my Delta Green game, one of the things I really love about my home group is that they're very supportive of each other when suboptimal play shows up. Most times. Every once in a while, somebody will be like, what the fuck are you doing? because we've known each other forever, and that's the type of thing you do. But I'll give an option. I took the last mission they were on. I threw a couple wrenches into the works. And one of them like, nope, not going in there. They're like, dude, what are you? You're supposed to be, nope, I'm out here. Scary, weird things happening. Yeah, scary, weird things happening in here too. Nope, sorry, this is in my face and scarier and weirder. And Lenny looks at him and says, you know what? That's what I would do. That makes sense. Everyone goes, yeah, you're right. That would make sense. You're alone in the van. There's a creepy-ass big tentacled monster scratching something thing on top of the van. Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to run out of that into the warehouse where the gunfire is. Okay, I buy that. Suboptimal. But yeah, it makes sense. And they encourage or support each other. When somebody sticks to their guns and says, no. I'm not going in there because there's a goddamn monster on the roof of this van and I'm not sticking my head out the window yet. The group's like, you know what? I buy that. I support that. Because honestly, it irritates the crap out of me when somebody's doing something like that and some jackass is like, no. What you got to understand is that you have initiative, and if you go 15 feet out, you can blah, blah, blah. And the other guy's like, that's not what I want to do. Because I have seen that many times in my career as a gamer where somebody's trying to counter with a better tactical, rule-based, almost metagamey type of thing, right? Like, look, these are the rules of the game. If you play them exactly as this, you can maximize this thing at the time. And the other player's like, dude, I light 2 sticks of dynamite, I jump on the fucking oily monster. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good money.
I think it is.
When well, I get the, hey, I'm gonna hang loose here. I'm gonna hold tight because monster. And I don't want to, monster scary. I'm scared. I'm going to hide in a corner. Yeah. I get that. Mm-hmm. But it's always good money when they're like, woohoo, you know you're going to die. Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of crazy heroic. I don't know if it'll even work.
Yeah.
I don't care if it works. I'm fucking doing it anyway.
Yeah. Joe plays like that pretty often. My buddy Joe.
Does he? Okay.
Oh yeah. Joe does. Joe is the counter of Jeff. That's why I like playing with those two yahoos.
A little yin yang action there.
Yeah, because Joe's not afraid to lose a character, and he's gonna play him the way the character should be played. And Jeff is always afraid that his character is gonna die. Like,
that's how Alpha's character got gacked within the first 15 minutes we actually started playing.
Yeah.
Main character sat down, and he's like, no, I'm just, what's going on? I don't understand. I stand there for a minute. I want to look around and see. She wants to see what's going on. Bap, 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 bap. Yep, she's dead. All right, give me another sheet. And he just started making a character.
Yeah.
It doesn't faze him. He's like, oh, well, I'll make a new one. Twice as cool as that one. Off we go.
Joe has never thrown his books out into the snow.
I think sometimes and maybe it's just the way the con games I've run and the things I've seen when I've been engaged in con games. I think more people tend to do the suboptimal / this is for the fun than some of the tactical stuff. I know there's heavy duty tactical gaming going on out there. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But I think encouraging people to do the thing, like this is what your character would do, you know. When I ran a World of Darkness, a Wraith intro, were you playing that one with Beatty? Dave Beatty?
Yes.
Yeah. And I drove on Dave, and of all of you guys, things are going bad, people are dying, it's going nuts. And Dave's like, nope, that's it. I'm coming. Boom! And he kills himself. Holy crap.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I think that's what he'd do. And everyone goes, yeah, that's fucking dark and brutal, man. But yeah, I'm with you. That's it. Now, the optimal thing would have been, no, don't do that. Calm everybody down, buddy up, solve the problem together, Scooby and the gang, instead of running crazy.
Yeah.
But everybody got into the character and said, you know what? My character sees crazy shit. I'm acting appropriately. It was all suboptimal play. Not a single one of you at that table did the quote-unquote best thing.
No.
It all went to shit really bad.
Yes, it did.
But that was fun.
Well, it's a con game.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make it, a one-shot. I mean, I didn't plan on playing that character again.
Correct. There's something to be said for that, right? And I think and that came to my mind when you mentioned your buddy Joe. He's like, I don't care if I lose a character, I'll make another one.
Well, and he plays like that in a campaign.
That's what I'm saying. Is I think there's some really cool freedom in that.
Yeah.
Even in the campaign, going, you know what, this tune I've got in front of me, yeah, she could die. That's all right.
But
I'll make another one.
But I should stipulate, he doesn't play carelessly.
I was just going to ask that. It's very important.
Unless, of course, his character is very careless in nature. But typically, he doesn't play dumb and he doesn't play careless. He's just not, he's not a glass cannon.
He's not worried about I need to be 3 feet away because I can next move. If I get up to 2 feet, then they can't attack me. But then I can get in and I can do a lunge, and that'll give me a flank. And he's not the guy doing that math, is he?
No, not typically, unless it really matters. Well,
okay.
I think it depends on the character he's playing. So he plays a barbarian currently.
Okay.
So he's all about rushing in. He doesn't care. He's like, how far am I away? I'm running as fast as I can to that, towards that.
And I'm not saying that, I mean, you make a good point here, because it's not that the player who likes to do this isn't crazy, holy shit, whatever, and doesn't never, like, how do I do it? It's not that they never care about the rules, or they never care about tactical play. Correct. But at certain key points, they're like, you know what my guy's going to do? Charge.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ, the barbarian charged
sure
again.
You're going to do that, man? It's a rank war.
Yes, I am.
All right, man.
Yeah, because, hey, that's what he's been doing. Yeah, that's him. That's Ragnar the Mighty. This is what he does.
That's right. You are first level.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Okay. It's like a CR10 monster.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure.
You might die. Uh-huh. I got a new character going right now. What are you doing? What are you rolling? New character. Just tell me what happens.
Joe is so awesome. When he rolls up a character for a campaign, he doesn't roll up one.
No.
Even if it's like, hey man, you can only start out with one, or like, what are you gonna play? He'll always come to the table with like one character, but he has 5 in the folder.
Never know.
I'm ready to go.
I'm prepared. I came to fucking play, man. And I'm not going to not play while I'm dicking around making a character here because I happen to die.
Pretty much.
So do you like seeing it? It sounds like you enjoy that at the table. I mean, it's not like I said, it's not like I should, as you said, not careless or crazy or just stupid play.
Right.
But properly suboptimal. Like, you know what? This is my ranger holds the line. Everybody else flees. I just keep flinging arrows.
Some of the best stories from role-playing games are when the player, through their character, is doing something cool, dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a characteristic of the character. So maybe they are just normally careless.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their wisdom is very low and they do silly stuff without really thinking it through.
Yep.
Their common sense isn't there. They may encounter something on the negative side.
Yes.
But it's always something fun or funny or amusing, or sometimes it comes out like, holy cow, I cannot believe you just did that.
I can't believe that
you
worked.
Succeeded. And yeah, that worked.
I've had it where I had a character, this is a while back, I had Fireball spell. And I'd used it once. We're playing a tactical game with figs and stuff. And I fucked up where I put it. Because I didn't bother to stand up out of my chair and actually count the damn squares. Like, that one, wham! And I hit half the party. They all lived, and their characters gave my character shit for it. So next time we got in a fracas, I refused to cast Fireball. And like, right. Dude, you know what to do now? I'm like, no, I'm still pretty upset, and I'm a little nervous. I'm really nervous to pull that spell out because
I want to toast you
I
guys.
don't think I can control it, man. No, you're just no. My character does not believe he can control it yet. If I have another opportunity where I can do it successfully, yes, but right now, I just don't think I can. Like, God damn it, Brett. Fine, all right, I get it, your character. But, oh, damn it. And they all looked at me and went, okay, that's annoying. It's kind of stupid. It's quasi-metagaming in the weirdest negative way, but all right. Your argument of why your character wouldn't do it, we'll buy it. And off we went. But I think you're right. There's a lot of the really cool stuff that I can remember is when people did shit that they shouldn't have done, that wasn't necessarily the most optimal thing to do, and gave it a try. It's not like winning at a tactical game or being the consummate tactician where you're optimizing all your movements, and there's some cool stuff in that where I had this with a group we used to play with a number of jobs ago. I would roll out. I was trying to use the CR system in 3.0 and 3.5 when we were playing that, and I had to jack it up by 3 every time I went after them. Because if I didn't, they could out-tactic me every fucking time. They built these wonderfully optimized min-max characters, and they would walk into a combat and just grind. It was wonderful to watch, in a way. It was like this mastery of the system and characters and how they played them and grind. It was crazy. It was a different type of conflict, right? But I think you can have fun doing that, but I think there's sometimes when people are doing the non-optimized attack, they're not using. Why aren't you using two? Why are you using that two-handed sword? You have a +2 longsword. This is my dad's two-handed sword, man. I always use this in combat. You have a +2 weapon. Until I run into a monster, that dad's sword won't hurt. This is the blade I use. Okay, idiot. You know, people will roll their eyes at you, but that's a cool thing. It's a suboptimal decision that your character's making based on something. I think the time when I've seen people get pissed at it, and I don't know if you've seen this, Sean, is when there is no reason, right? I'm going to do this thing. That's a really bad idea. Why are you doing that? And the person then, for some reason or another, refuses to explain it, won't explain it, or the game master won't help them try to answer it. And sometimes people are just dicks. And I've got a grudge of seeing this happen. You know, John made Joe mad. Joe decides not to cast healing on him this time. Why not? You've got 5 more hit points. You can wait another round. Dude, really? I'm almost dead. This giant's dishing off 15 in a crack. Shouldn't have lipped off to me. Now, I've seen that happen, right? And that's not quite what I'm talking about. That's almost like Vendetta play versus suboptimal. But have you seen that one, Sean? Seen the Vendetta?
I've seen that, yeah. I've seen I've seen that dynamic at the table.
The Book of Grudges comes out. Ah, yes, 2 dungeons ago in the swamps of the Lizard King.
Well, I had one where it was, I had to be introduced to the campaign, so I was a prisoner. And when the party came across me, you know, I knew things because I had been a slave in the pits and
they
the
chose
mines.
not to believe you and torture you.
So they never believed me and never trusted me. And not only did they not trust me, but it was to the point where I was mercilessly interrogated. And it was like this one player, and through his player character would just not let it go at all. Like, it was just this thing like, what did my character do to yours? And I think there was even some weird dynamic between like his race and mine, or something historically, or whatever.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it would just not go away, to the point where it was really starting to piss me off as a player.
Yeah. See, that's like when it goes bad.
Yeah.
Because that is potentially suboptimal. The optimized tactical perfect thing to do is like, oh, clearly Sean is a new player character. We will interrogate him slightly, and then we will immediately become friends with him.
Or be suspicious. Yeah.
I can be suspicious, but I will trust him after the first combat. Hey, now you're my bosom buddy. It makes no logical, realistic sense.
Right.
Given the fact of everything else the party's gone through, but hey, it's a conceit of the game. Carry on, move forward, people. I think that is one of those examples of it's gone too far into douchebaggery, where you're being destructive and evil.
Yeah, and I don't even mind I'm suspicious, march order. I'm always behind Sean's guy. Right? Fine.
Yeah.
fine. I can live with those nuances.
Yeah,
I get
go ahead.
that.
Go
That's
ahead.
not a big deal. Just don't stab me.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Right. But okay, fine. I get it. You keep your eye on me. But it just got really just never ended. And I'm like, come on, you're killing me here. And then what happened would be, then you start getting into PvP, like almost pseudo, because then something would happen and then I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
Then it turns into a downward spiral.
Yeah, that's where I think what you say about guys like Joe, when I was talking about Lenny and some of the guy and Alpha's character, did a suboptimal thing, right? I charge into combat. For God's sakes, damn barbarian. It's not the end of the world. Just not being a jerk. He brings 5 characters to the game. Smart man. That's a guy who knows what's what, and character sheets are cheap. I'll make another one. And I think that type of non-optimized play is pretty cool. That's fun. That goes into the whole, hey. Now my assumption is once we're in combat here, Joe is like, okay, yeah, I'll rage, I'll do this, but there's moments of decision making that aren't necessarily the best tactically speaking. And that's what, if it's all the time, then you are almost an annoying Kender and somebody wants to step on your head. But I think the judicious application, and sometimes what's judicious for one group is not for another, but I think that's the key to it. And also to not make it vendetta based, like we just talked about, or just difficult for people. And I think the other piece too is if you do it as a player growth thing. So an example, when my character was hesitant to cast Fireball, didn't like doing it in the dungeon. Once we got into a larger room, I could clearly throw it way the fuck away from the party. Wham! Like, okay, I got this. All right, I'm feeling confident now. I did that. All right, it was a stupid little thing. I never should have been worried about it. I got it now. I'm good. I'm comfortable now. The players look at me, can you cast Fireball now? Yes, I'm happy now. I'm good. Thank God. It was annoying. It's not like we didn't win the other battles type of thing, but it shows growth. And I think that's part of the suboptimal stuff. Like the player who's using that two-handed sword from his dad all the time, or that other character who has, her mother's +1 ring of protection. I have a +2 ring of protection I could give you for that one. Why don't we swap? No. Yeah, but you could use the armor class and this will give me something. We'll just swap, like we used to do. No. Arthur would never do that. This is his mother's ring. Okay, that's not really optimal, but it's cool. That's a cool thing to do. It makes something about your character interesting. And again, it's not destructive in any way, so kind of cool.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Sean?
No.
No? Did you like Matt's perspective, Colville's perspective on it, or?
I thought it was kind of brief, but yeah, I thought it was interesting because of the dialogue that's
preceded it.
Preceded it. Because it went into the metagame piece where they were going down the situation was they were going down a corridor, and they came across something, and one of the guys realized it was a gelatinous cube.
Well, yeah, he talked about a couple different things. He talked about how he metagamed and realized that, it's a gelatinous cube, said it out loud.
Right.
And he could see the other dungeon master, the guy who was DMing, went, oh, crap, Matt figured it out.
Yeah.
And another piece they talked about was as his players had gotten to a certain point, and they just realized that they had bypassed a whole bunch of the dungeon, and should they go back and fight those other monsters, get some more treasure before the big bad fight, because then they would get tougher. And then they had argument between them, like that's metagaming to say we have to go back to get stronger, because you'd only know that if you realize you were living in a game.
Right, yes.
And where Matt was like, no, hang on a second. Your characters live in a world where you progressively get better based on experiences you have, right? That's a known fact. You didn't just wake up one day and go, boy, I wonder how I got this extra spell. Oh, that's amazing. I got a new feat. Where'd I get that from? You realize, so they had this back and forth. I thought it was interesting that he took that type of metagaming, like how do I get the most out of something? And then that brief flip into the suboptimal play, which is how can I minimize something? Really? And it's another form of metagaming, but I think the cool thing, in my opinion anyway, is that metagaming, as we were talking about here, is if you're doing it suboptimally, and it's based on a character development piece or a character backstory or some history they have with something or something that just occurred to them or that they're thinking about, flashback, whatever, that's cool. That's a piece where that character background gets to hit the table, make it real. Or, you're just like, hey, look, he's kind of a happy-go-lucky nutball mage, and this is just what he does. Or you know what? She's sorry, she hates Drow. She was in prison. Her backstory: she was imprisoned by Drow and kept as a slave for a year. So, yeah, don't really care about the Darrow. She goes right for the Drow priestess. That's not a good idea. Don't care. Bloodlust, man, kill her. And that's cool. To your point, I think that's where some of the fun stories happen. Even if it fails horribly, and you go out in a ball of fire. That's still pretty fucking cool.
It is cool.
Anyway, I think we're good.
Yeah, we'll have a link to Matt's episode in the show notes. So
let's move it on. Die roll. Yeah, that's what that's called.
Die roll. All right. So the Wolverines take the highway to the danger zone by Chris Hussey. If you don't know who Chris is, he's been a guest host on Fear the Boot on and off. He does some actual play as well. So you can get this on Drive-Thru RPG. It's a Savage Worlds scenario, comes with pre-gens and everything. It takes you back to the 80s if you didn't get that out of the title of the supplement. I'll read just the synopsis here. It's the end of one chapter in your life and time to start another. High school graduation. It's the 80s and the world is at your fingertips. Trouble overseas? Not your problem. Rumors of a commie invasion? Sounds like a grown-up issue. Now is time for more important things. Summer job, parties, college. Maybe telling your crush how you really feel about them before it's too late. Optimism is high and there's nothing you can't do. And as you stood on stage waiting for your diploma, everything changed. You don't remember what you heard first, the gunshots or the explosions. It didn't matter, though. Within minutes, your world transformed. The enemy was here. You scrambled for safety, clamoring for loved ones, but gunfire and chaos kept you apart. You didn't think. You just ran. Soldiers in red-starred uniforms were in your town. The commies were here. You don't know if they were. Russians, Cubans, or Chinese, but it didn't matter. They invaded your town of Springfield. They put tanks in the streets. They ruined graduation. Now it's time for payback.
Wolverines!
Taken from the movie Red Dawn.
Yes.
Inspired by
the movie Red Dawn.
The movie Red Dawn.
Nice.
The second one, Jared Rascher strikes again on his blog with What Do I Know About Reviews? Demonic excretions.
Yes. It's
yes.
This is a Rob Schwab, so it's got to be excretions.
That's right. It's a Rob Schwab. So if you don't know who Rob is, he's done Shadows of the Demon Lord. Yeah. And then the third one, Ty points out the story engine deck of endless storytelling prompts plus book Kickstarter. So hopefully we'll get this episode out before the Kickstarter ends, which is October 11th, 2019. It's fully funded. And even if you don't get in on the Kickstarter, hopefully you'll be able to get the product after the fact. But it is an interesting, deck of cards you can create stories with by combining different cards. So I thought it was pretty cool. Check out the video.
And I had one out there.
Brett's got one.
I threw this out in the forums. It was St. Anthony's Tongue. An incorrupt tongue of the saint of lost things is venerated in a basilica. So St. Anthony died from edema in 1231. When he was exhumed in 1263, he had totally decomposed except for, curiously, his tongue. It's reported just as wet and incorrupt as it had been in his life when he was celebrated for his oratory skills. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's Delta Green, man.
I saw that and I'm like, that's Delta Green.
Green.
That is all sorts of wonderfulness. That's a beautiful thing that a bardic artifact that's Delta Green. There's wonderfulness.
Nothing good can come from that.
This reminds me of, and if your players are anything like mine, somebody goes, "So it's like Vecna, huh? I cut my tongue out. I crammed this one in there. Does that work?" Okay, well, first off, you're gargling your own blood for a while. I don't care. I do it anyway. Okay, sand check, you crazy fuckers. Yeah, somebody's going to try this. So you could change it from St. Anthony's tongue to the hand, eye, and tongue of Vecna. You could do that. But anyway, yeah, I thought it was cool and worth noting.
Sweet, man. That wraps up Die Roll this week.
Yeah, ready for next week?
What are we talking about next week, Brett?
Next week, we're going to talk about description expectations.
Oh, my God. What is the hell is that?
Oh, one of our listeners had written into us and said, hey, it gets out on the forums. When you give, when you're doing theater of the mind, especially, the amount of detail and so forth that you put into a description. Now, we've talked about this a little bit before with like, hey, what's in the room type of thing. So it's like expanding on that a little bit. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Oh.
There's show notes out there for you. I quote all the goodness, so you can take a look at it. I shared it with you and everything.
Okay.
You going to get your PC, you're going to get your Mac fixed before then?
God, I hope so. I don't know, man. My Mac took a crap, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to do a Kickstarter to raise $5,000 so Sean can get a kick-ass computer. Because, you know,
I can usually
some
tell
podcasts have done that, and they've been successful. What can I say?
I can usually tell when Sean's having a technical difficulty because I'm talking to him and he's got one eye on the computer. I wonder if is that buffering? What's going on? Is that saving? Is this saving? I could tell you were a little distracted.
There's a little empty hole in my life without this my Mac. Even though I wouldn't work on it every day, it's like it's not here. It's kind of like not having a Harley Davidson, Brett.
I know, Sean.
Anyways, this show is done.
All right, we're out of here.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. This is Sean.
And this is Brett. Good night and good game and all.
This episode of Gaming and BS brought to you with the help from the following BSers. Graham Miner, Corey Wynn, Hawk Sparrow, Larry Hout, Mark Tasaka, Pure Mongrel, Chris Steele, Ron Bishop, Thomas Hook, Wayne Humphrey, Craig, Brandon Barnes, Laramie Wall, Dan LaValle, Jason Hobbs, Sky, Roger Braslett, John Hammersley, Old School DM, Perry Besor, Michael Dinos, Jim Fitzpatrick, Christopher Gray, Bruce Cunnington, John Kayward, Corey Gonzalez, Eileen Barnes, Robert Nemeth, Niall Diamond, Howard Bishop, Stephen Dragonspawn, Mark Anthony Benedetti, Eric Salzweedle, Trevor Davis, The Closet Gamer, Jeff Goad, Aaron Coleman, Ray Otis, C.W. Mellencamp, Craig Huber, Rich Wishon, Old Scouser Roleplaying, Jared Rascher, Andy Hall, David F. Baylog, Harrigan, Melissa Bashinsky, Brian Rumble, Chad Gleeman, Finolf, Mirko Froelich, Lord Tentacle, Joe Swick, Curtis Takahashi, Josh Wallace, Kevin Lovecraft, Andy Olson, Tony Sugarloaf Baker, Jeff Seifert, and Aaron Ralia. Did you know that patrons get the show earlier than the public? Even if you just give $1 a month. Could be a few hours, could be a couple days. Become a patron at gamingandbs.com/Patreon. Patreon. Thanks, BSers!
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.